All right, well, welcome you guys to Rising Tides. Today we are going to dive into a little bit of like a reset and realignment for Q1. So this is all about momentum. We got to get momentum going in Q1. It is January 22nd. Not sure how that happened. Blink of an eye. We are going to blink again, and it's going to be March 31st, and we're going to be talking about like summertime. We're already talking about summertime here, summer schedules. It's insane. Um, so that's how fast our business is going by too, right? And so we have to be prepared. We have to plan. It's not just something that you can wing every day. You need to have a plan. Last week we talked about having systems and operational kind of systems for your business. The week before that, we talked about the little tiny habits that you can do to plug into those systems. And we're going to kind of still bring both of those topics into today, right? So bringing them into how you prep your Q1, how you get that momentum going, and while at the same time resetting yourself, your mind, your business, all of the things, right? To bring clarity and to really find direction with where you're going. Sound good? And feel free to unmute and chat and chime in, and we'll get going. So, how's everybody feeling right now at this point in the year so far? How's your energy? Sydney doesn't feel well, so I'm assuming his is not very good. Um, but how's your energy? Anybody want to chime in? Oh, there's Tim. I just wanted to say Tim the Toolman Taylor. Anybody watch Home Improvement back in the day?
Yeah. Energy's good. Energy's excited for the new year. I feel like there's a lot of good things that are happening that people were asking for. Interest rates are trending down. Inventory's up. There was a lack of inventory in November and December, so just kind of waiting for the new stuff to come in for the beginning of January. Open houses have been better than previously, so a lot of good stuff and opportunities.
Good. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're definitely seeing a little bit more of that buyer pool expanding finally. Um, Rates hit 5.99 last week. That was pretty amazing. Um, Tim, how's your energy?
Right now, it's good. It's hectic because I was 5 minutes late here, but in general, it's pretty good. We're seeing some people get into transactions that I haven't seen in a minute. There's a couple condominiums that sold, which is anybody's paying attention to
Yeah.
condominiums, they know that they're struggling.
Yeah.
So that was good. I have an uptick of first closings in my office, which is really nice, right? That makes me feel better, and if my energy's up, then everybody's energy usually goes up.
That's
So we're
so true.
seeing, yeah, we're seeing good things like that. I'm working on some of these things that we talked about last week, trying to be a little more consistent with some things and just uh, things that will, I don't want to be tired. I want to be up and moving. So
Yeah.
exercising, which is making me tired, but well, only to start. And
But
Sydney, I
not
heard,
the 1,000 miles that Sydney's trying to run over here.
yeah, right. Well, I heard he's not feeling well, so I hope you feel better, Sydney. Um, yeah, but feeling pretty good. And then we've had sun. I mean, I know it's a funny thing, but we've had some sun here the
That
last
is not a funny thing. Let me tell you,
few.
vitamin D does so much for you, and it's rough in the Pacific Northwest not having sunshine. That is a huge factor in your energy, your emotions, like everything. So it's not,
Yeah, I went to Walla Walla over the weekend, and it was cloudy there, which is where you would expect it to be sunny. And I was a little lethargic because what do you do in Walla Walla but drink wine, right? And so it was made for a slow Monday, Tuesday. But the sun here has been great, so yeah, I feel pretty good.
good. Um, I think that our energy is super important. Yeah.
Uh, Everybody else, this is just a personal thing between Lane and I. You're just gonna Tiana had her baby, just FYI.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, yeah.
When?
Theodore is his name. So
This
uh,
weekend?
yeah, I'll send you the pictures. They're
Ah,
pretty.
oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, talk about energy, right?
Right there.
Or
I
lack
know
of
it.
for her. Um, okay, so our energy is so important, and it's so important for, okay, like Tim even said, if he has better energy, it feeds out into everybody in the office, right? Those people getting their first closings, like, and what a way to kick off the new year, but talk about an energy boost right there, right? So, I want to talk about that today, but also with how we can bring it into building that momentum and keeping it going. And I want us to talk about that clarity and how we can keep it going through. I mean, we only have like a week left of January, but then really focus on Q1 for us. Okay. So last week we really focused on designing that operating system, which I'm so glad to hear that Tim is trying to implement some of that stuff, but how it can fuel our consistency, right? And today we're going to build on that and we're going to go into this meeting today with how we can have intentions set for not just January, but really Q1. Okay. So we want to have a framework that helps us throughout the rest of Q1. Okay. So let's dive in. And again, you guys can unmute, but let's talk about our business, okay? Let's talk about last week we really talked about building those operating systems, but keeping things organized, keeping things predictable. And like I said at the beginning of this Zoom, actually, like you have to have a plan. We can't just wing it, right? You have to go into Q1 with a plan. So what is your plan, right? You have to think about this. And it would be great if everybody does this as like a working Zoom, get out a pen and paper and really think about what do you want your focus to be for Q1? So that's the clarity part. That's what you're going to build everything else around. Okay? I know that for me, sometimes I go in a million different directions. I got a million ideas, and then I'm like, oh, let me just start this one. But then I also have this other one. Oh, but that just made me think of this other one, and I got to try this. Like, there's a lot of things I want to do. So this call is, I mean, more so for me right now to focus on too, right? What is the number one focus for Q1? What's going to move your needle forward? And that's your first question. Maybe your focus for Q1 is your database and contacting your database and all things database, right? I don't know. I'm just making up ideas. Maybe it's, you know what? My focus for Q1 is I'm going to do 50 open houses. I don't even know what the math is on that. I just threw out 50. Maybe it's, I'm going to get my listing presentation down and practice it and do X amount of listing appointments and come up with a listing book and all things listing appointment. Maybe your focus is mastering your scripts. I'm going to go to Sydney's script practice every single morning. I'm going to do it with my spouse, my kid, my dog 5 times a day. I'm going to master every single script. So you have to think about what matters most in your business right now. Because remember, this is when we're figuring out like how's the rest of the year going to look. Okay? Any thoughts on clarity on your focus so far? Or
I
have you
think,
thought about it?
yeah, thought about it, but also think that it's important to write it down. I think it's important to put it out in front of yourself and something you can look at every day, on a board, on the top of your computer screen, whatever it is. It's just got to stay top of mind.
Yeah. I love writing things down so that it's in front of my face and I have to see it, right? Um, I think that that part is important. But then what comes next after you figure out that what that focus is and write it down? Okay?
I think
After,
strategy to, oh, sorry, I thought it was a question.
no,
I was
yeah,
just going to
yeah.
say strategy to get those goals done. So what are the step-by-step, day to
Yeah.
day, week to week, month to month things that I have to do?
Yes. What does it look like? You can't just write it on a piece of paper and like wish it into fruition. Like you have to actually take steps to make it happen, right? Right? So clarity, what's your focus? So you have to figure that out, okay? Then you have to have the consistency to make it happen. You have to have routines. So those 7 tiny habits we talked about, whatever other habits we talked about, waking up every morning at 6, going on your run every morning, drinking the gallon of water, the consistency and the routine to have that focus day to day, right?
That's my word of the year. You know how we do the word of the year?
Yeah, what is it?
Consistency.
Love it. So then conversion, sharpen your skills, refine your scripts, right? And then closing strong. So I think that you can do all of these things really at once because you have to have the consistency to do any of it, in my opinion, right? But so let's talk about the Q1. So if you could accomplish one thing by March 31st that would change your business, what would it be? So if you don't have that one focus yet, this may help you come up with it. Not 5 things, not just like, well, I need more production. Okay, cool. So does everybody. But what is it? If you're brand new to the business and you've closed no deals, what's the one thing that you need to do and accomplish by March 31st that's going to change your business? Maybe it's add 20 contacts a day to your database until March 31st. Maybe it's contact 10 people a day, and right? But it has to be specific and something that you can measure. Okay? Here's some examples. Close 2 million in volume. Generate 150 meaningful conversations. Break that down. How many a day? Book 20 listing appointments. Grow your database by 500. So you're adding X amount of contacts every single day. Commit to a certain time, whatever time that is. I did a 6 a.m. time and I've been checking off every single day if I do it. I mean, my alarm set and then I just like get out of bed usually by like 6:15, but it's a start, right? So pick something, but you have to write it down, like Tim said. If I could only accomplish one thing by March 31st that would change my business for the year, what would it be? It would be blank. Okay.
I think with a lot of new agents, especially new agents, and Sydney's a coach, he might have a better take on this, but is just even learning how to use your CRM so that you can start to. It's a silly thing, but I think I know several agents that are high producing agents that do not. They're still using Excel spreadsheets. They don't use a CRM, and so mastering the CRM, getting people in there, and then start communicating with them. Uh, would be just a huge first step for most new agents and those people who maybe aren't as organized as they could be.
Mm-hmm. Sydney, are you going to family reunion?
Yeah, I am. Just to pick up on what Tim just said, I feel like one of them to build your foundation of your business and to be successful, being organized is probably going to be one of the most important things. So your CRM is a very valuable tool that you should use religiously. A calendar, and making sure that you put everything on there. And then just going back to what you guys were talking about, setting goals, writing it down is super important, but I feel like sharing it with somebody who can hold you accountable is that much more important. Because it's easy to write something down and let it just fall by the wayside, but you don't want to disappoint somebody who you share. It's kind of embarrassing to say you're going to do something and not do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So accountability.
And it
Anybody else, if you want to throw it in the chat too, you don't have to unmute. Tim, what were you going to say?
it's I got distracted because I was looking at what Sydney just posted. Um, it'll come back.
Well, I think so. Writing it down and sharing it, right? But having that one clear goal. Okay. And then we have to figure out what what's gonna get that done, right? You have to have a structure. So let's take, the contacts. Okay, I'm gonna do 20 contacts a day. Any conversation about real estate, whether that's you know, an email conversation, a message on my Facebook Messenger, a text message, a phone call, whatever that is. I'm gonna have 20 conversations a day. What's the structure to follow through with that? Like how am I gonna track that? And do this, break it down with whatever goal you picked. So what are the three indicators that you track weekly? Well, if it's contacts, you can write down the contacts every day or track it in your CRM, right? You have to be able to track whatever it is you're doing. So it's great if you write it down one time, but how are you tracking daily what you're doing? What is going to be the daily action that you take? Well, maybe it's time blocking and putting it on your calendar. Put on your calendar every single day from 9 to 11, I'm going to have my 20 conversations. And then during that time, I'm going to write it down so I know how many conversations I had. And I'm going to put the notes in my CRM, set tasks, set follow-up, do auto plans, whatever it is, but I'm going to track. Yep, Sydney put in the chat contacts, appointment sets, signings, pendings, offers written, closings, right? The three habits you execute daily. It doesn't even have to be three, just non-negotiable items. Time block your lead gen. Nothing else can take, if you're making an appointment for something, don't put it during your lead gen time. That is already an appointment that you have with yourself to do your lead gen, right?
You have to be selfish with that time. You really have to like do not, I mean, obviously things happen, but you cannot really, you have to protect those
Mhm.
things.
And one of the little like hacks, call it what you will, that I learned a long time ago is I used to have lead gen in my calendar from 9 to 11. Tim, you've probably heard me say this. And I saw it every day and I was like, I don't want to do this. Okay. And I changed it. And this was before I bought my first house. I changed it buy a house. So every day in my calendar from 9 to 11, it was this big red block that said buy a house. So every day, you better believe that I did my lead gen because I looked at that and I was like, I want to buy a freaking house. How am I going to do that? By lead generating, right? And then when you accomplish that goal, change it to something else. Buy an RV. That went up next, right? Buy an investment property, whatever it is. So that motivates you to do it. Because if you look at it every day, you're just going to see lead gen, you're like, I don't want to do it, right? So do that instead. But whatever it is, you need to have your daily habits that you don't let anything get in the way of. Lead gen time. And this is just for the example of making the contacts. Maybe your one focus for the month is 50 open houses, and you're tracking how many you ask to do, how many you hold, how many contacts you get at each, et cetera, right? Maybe the daily habits are looking on the MLS for new properties, being the expert in the area that you're doing the open houses. Let's say Sydney is doing open houses in Kirkland only. Well, he better be the expert on Kirkland if he's doing the open houses. Maybe every day he's looking at the MLS for Kirkland, seeing what's active, pending, and sold. Maybe he's reaching out to agents that just had something come on the market to do open houses. He's scheduling out for the weekend. He's visiting the properties that are active so he can compare. So when he's at the open house, you know what I mean? I'm just throwing ideas out, but maybe that's the things, the tracking, the daily habits in order for that goal. So you have to adjust whatever your focus is for Q1 and adjust the daily and the leading indicators and tracking accordingly. Um, and then opportunities you actively pursue. So where are the next deals coming from? With open houses, it could be how many people did you get contacts from? How many people did you get their buyer broker agreement signed? Whatever it is, right? It's not about getting this all, perfect. It is about keeping track of what you're doing so that you can check in with yourself and just do a check-in. Okay, tomorrow's Friday. What the hell have I done this week to move the needle forward with that one goal that I had for Q1? What have I done? A lot of fluff during the week, right? What have I done that I can track and see a difference? How many conversations? How many open houses? What have I done in my database? How many reach outs? Whatever it is. But you have to have a scoreboard, call it, to track it. Or if it's an Excel spreadsheet or your CRM or whatever it is.
Two things on this that
Yeah.
one, one is that regardless of how experienced you are, uh, we all tend to fall off the train a little bit. We lose our way sometimes. Just hearing these things over and over again is super important because you just forget. We're all grown-ups. We know these things. The second one specifically is those three opportunities you actively pursue. I actually go into a panic when I don't have those three opportunities. If I look and say, what are my next three opportunities? And I don't have three, this is the same with recruiting. If I don't have three potential onboards, what I start to panic. And I'm like, okay, go back to number one and start working on those things. And then number two after that. It's just how it personally affects me. I
Mhm.
literally have a
Well,
panic.
and when you take the foot off the gas, that's what happens, right? You're like,
Hmm.
oh, I have people, I have all these, I have pendings, I have this. Oh, now wait, I don't have anything in the pipeline. Okay, I got to do my lead gen. Oh, now I have a couple, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you should never take your foot off the lead gen pedal. That way you're just like this and you're not like on this roller coaster of it. We don't want you to panic and have anxiety.
For
Really.
producing agents, the similar thing to what you were saying, Tim, is I have a top five, sometimes a top 10. So essentially, of all your contacts, your pipeline, who's your top five, and you need to always have five people who you're actively working. And as that kind of dwindles and as you're working to get it in, you'll realize that I need to focus harder on lead gen, or I need to focus on whatever your pipeline's looking like. But the worst thing is to do what you were saying, Lena, is just get so focused on somebody who's active and then realize that you have nothing for the next several months.
Yeah. Because then when you start up the lead gen part again, you're looking at 90 days out on a good lead,
Yeah,
right?
if
That
you're
like,
lucky. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes 1 to 2 years for somebody to pan out.
And that happens that people will focus, especially if they get a transaction. And again, newer agents, if they don't have this is their first, maybe their second transaction, they just focus on that. They put so much energy and time into that, they let everything else go. And like you said, we want that consistent line. The Ben graph freezes. You don't want the up and down. You want that straight line. What are you doing to create that?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Um, oops, our little faces are in my way. Gotta move.
Can
Oh,
I make a comment?
oh my gosh,
James.
yes.
So one of the things that I found useful, I make lists. I do keep my Google Calendar, and I keep a week at a glance calendar because I like to see my day. But I find if the night before I write down, the top five things I have to do, and that would include other things than real estate. I mean, you might have other
Right.
appointments. And as I do them, when I do it the night before that I get up, I know what my day is going to be. And then I cross them off because crossing them off makes me feel accomplished.
Same. We are the same. I love it.
I
I,
was waiting for you to get excited there, Lena. I knew that the list thing and
oh, I
my
like live by my legal pad with my to-do list. I
my wife's a teacher, so if anyone
think there's a name for that.
super organized, she'll even put things on her list that she's already accomplished just so she can cross it off and get that dopamine hit. I love that. It's
I
just fun.
love that you say that it's super organized because my mind was thinking like something not as nice. Okay, so
I,
let's talk about and about myself, not your wife or you, Janice.
I wasn't worried about it. That's fine.
Uh okay, so momentum is what we need, right? Once we pick our focus, once we pick and figure out like what that looks like, what daily habits we need to do, what do we have to get done in order to get our goals accomplished. But it's not just about starting to do those things, right? We have to also stop doing other things. So I could make my to-do list. I could make my, okay, every single day I'm going to do XYZ to hit my one goal. But I also have to stop doing a couple other things, right? I may have to say no to a couple other things or stop bunny trailing down these other ideas that I have, right? So you have to understand, what does that look like for the goal that you want? Maybe these are just ideas. Maybe you don't say yes to every open house. Maybe if it's a house that's been sitting on the market for 200 days and it's not in the area that you want and not in the price point that you want, you say no. Why are you going to do an open house in Puyallup if you live in Lake Stevens? Just to do one? Then you have buyers in Puyallup, and then you have to show houses in Puyallup. Find an open house near you instead. So maybe you say no to some open houses. Okay? Maybe you need to set better boundaries with communicating with clients. Maybe you let ChatGPT help you with some marketing remarks and you don't work on it for an hour. And instead you work on it for 30 seconds. Right? Maybe you're overcomplicating your social media. Hello, I hate social media. I need somebody to take over all of that for me, please. So maybe you're overcomplicating it. Maybe you are waiting for the perfect conditions to do something when instead you have to do something today. Just take action. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. Maybe you're trying to build 5 systems at once. Guilty. Pick one to start, right? Maybe you are not following up with people. How many leads do you have that you have not followed up on? You know, I was talking to my husband yesterday. You guys know him, Brian. We were talking, we've been looking for land around here for this idea that we have. And we pulled up like a commercial site here and we were looking and we saw this piece of land that we had looked at probably 9 months ago. And we were like, oh, that property's still available. They did a little bit of price drop. And that reminded me that when we went and looked at it, the agent that met us never called me back. I don't have an agent here that I'm working with. Literally, we asked her to show us the property. It was just like she paid for leads on Zillow. She was the Zillow lead person that we got connected with. Never called me again. How many people have you not followed up with? Right? Like she could have been working with us this whole time, or maybe even found us the property that we're looking for. And guess what? I still don't have an agent.
I can refer one to you.
I mean, I can refer one to myself.
That's crazy that you use Zillow.
Okay, so the story behind that is that my husband found it on Zillow and he goes, oh, the agent's meeting us at the property. And I assumed he
Uh,
meant the listing agent. And we got there and the listing agent met us and so did the new lady. And I was like, Brian, who is this lady? And he goes, I don't know. I thought it was the listing agent. She was like, no, I have Zillow leads. You clicked on, did it? And I'm like, oh my God. I let my husband click on the Zillow. Yeah. Anyways.
well, a lot of what you're saying reminds me of the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule,
Yep.
that like roughly 80% of your outcomes come from 20% of your inputs.
Hmm. It's so true. So how do we take that and break it down in our own lives, in our own systems, in our, and figure it out, right? We have to stop, first of all, the anti-chaos filter, all this other crap going on, right? Stop comparing your production. Your production is what it is today, and it's only going to change with the actions that you take. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. It doesn't matter, your social media, this and that, but just it's going to change with the actions that you take, right? We are in control of our own selves, our actions, our mindset, and that's what matters. So ignore all the other crap. So The market is shifting. You guys feeling that? Me and Sydney were talking about it a little bit, Tim, before you came on too. It is, um, I think shifting more a tad bit more positively right now, right? A little bit more buyers, a little bit, people are still uncertain, but it's our job to um, be the expert. It's our job to connect them with the right people. It's our job to have a lender ready to meet with them, to understand what a rate buy down is, to understand the options for them as a first-time home buyer, right? Or the different available loan programs that they could have in our state, right? So it's up to us to figure out, it's up to us to build our own skill, first of all, right? We need to attend the classes. We need to attend Janine's contract classes, or if you have a different DB that runs them in your office, go to those. You guys have to know the contracts. You have to understand how to use Transaction Desk, Authenticsign, the MLS. Like these are simple things that you guys have to know, right? And then you have to be able to know how to have the conversations. So, attending script practice, right? You need to know when a buyer tells you, well, I think I'm just going to wait for like rates to come down a little bit more. What's your script back to them? Now, I'm not going to make you guys do this pairing up exercise because nobody else is talking on here, but I do think that it's important for you guys to know what to say. Are they worried about timing right now? We'll dive into it and talk about why. Are they unsure about pricing? You need to know the answers and the responses to give them, right? Know the market data, study the market. If I have a listing in Monroe, I can tell you every single house that's active right now, anything that went pending in the last 180 days, even in the neighborhood, right? I know that market. It's our job working with buyers and sellers to understand what the opportunity and how it lays for them. They're focused on, oh, the rate this, and I want to be in this school district. They're thinking about whatever things they're worried about, right? It's up to us to know what to say. Building our skill. So you have to be doing this if you want to have a goal by the end of Q1 to have 2 million in production, like the example said, or do 50 open houses. You're going to know your skill. This is I mean, everybody did 90 hours to get a license. That is not anything, and it didn't teach you anything about the market. We have to study it, right? Tim's laughing at me. It's true. We have to study it. I remember finishing real estate school and thinking, they never taught me how to write a purchase and sale agreement. That's wild. That is crazy, right? It's like graduating from law school and not knowing how to like do anything legal with a client. I don't know. It's crazy. So we have to practice. We have to know our skill. We have to practice our scripts. We have to go to the classes. What are you guys thinking? Tim's shaking his head no.
I'm laughing at two different things, something a little related. I sat in for Alicia yesterday and did the Rockwell class.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and it was fun. We had about 30 people in there. Uh,
Oh
they
wow.
they did not know any of the terms. Not know any of the terms. Their eyes were so wide by the time I was done. It was pretty funny. Um, but I do believe that if people see that you are the expert in a certain area, so I live up north, I tend to work the Bothell Mill Creek area.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you everything about one of those just because I've lived there for 20 odd years,
Right.
right? I know where the
Right.
bus stops are, I know where the schools, the shopping, all those things. So when people walk into the house and when I'm doing opens and they start looking around, they start asking questions or talking, and I hear the questions, I start throwing answers. Sure enough, people come and say, "Hey, you sound like you know this area pretty well. Can you show me houses over here?" Of course, I'd be happy to do that. So it just attracts people to you when you know the area.
Yep.
Making it till you make it's a little scary, but just because you can't lie or you can't just make things up. But
Well, fake it till you make it what? Like to know an area?
yeah, if you don't know how exactly how far a school is, you could say, oh, you can't say it's 3.2 miles away. You could say it's close.
Yeah.
But those are the things you should know. You should know what school the
You
house
should,
feeds
well,
into.
you should. And generally, you're working in the area that you live. So you should kind of know the area that you live. If you're new to the area, I mean, drive around and get to know your city, right?
Do you drive around when you do open houses? Do you drive around beforehand just to see what's around the neighborhood, if it's a place you haven't been before?
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll just go look to see what other houses are for sale, first of all, right?
Yeah.
You go look, but see if there's another open that you can, and then I'll go and talk to that agent beforehand and just have a little
I will print MLS detail sheets on the other active homes within like a mile.
100%.
Ones that I think that would be similar that the people that are at this open house would be looking at, right? So then if they're like, oh, well, this house over on 123 Main Street was blah, 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 and you're like, oh, yeah, have you seen the backyard's a lot smaller? So that you know what to say to compare. Or, oh, you haven't seen this one? I can go meet you there after. Here's the information, right?
I usually print two or three because
You give it to them.
being the guy that I am, the I'll have an agent come in, and it's usually new agents. They're showing their clients, and I'll say, "Well, there's other houses." They're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Here, take this. Go work with your clients." Hopefully,
Yeah.
that gives them a good impression of us too. So,
Right. Um, okay. Well, in kind of wrapping up this topic here, but I do think Sydney touched on this earlier, the accountability. And I think that that is a big deal, having yourself accountable to somebody, right? And it's got to be somebody that is going to hold you accountable, right? Like, well, you said that you were going to do this, so right? So I do think that it's important to share your goals. So if anybody knows what their Q1 goal is, share it on here, throw it in the chat, unmute. Sydney, Tim, do you guys have a specific Q1 goal?
Yes.
yeah,
Do you
a couple the different aspects of my life, but yes.
Okay. So did you just take like a year goal and break it down?
A 411
Okay.
or a
Okay.
4111, which for people who don't know is I actually don't get why the numbers are the numbers, but there's 1
4 weeks.
year, so your annual goal, you have a monthly goal, and then you have a weekly goal. 4 weeks fits into 1 month, but 1 month doesn't fit into 1 year. That's why I don't get the number thing. But you essentially break down your annual goal to be broken down into monthly goals. Then those monthly goals need to be broken down into weekly goals so that it's more digestible.
Right.
I think it comes from that
Micro
saying.
goals to hit the big goal. What, Tim?
I think 411 comes from that saying, "What's the 411? What's the deal? What's going on?" I think it just
Oh,
someone tried to make it the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
mm,
But I have it in more than just one aspect, right? You have personal, you have business, you
yeah.
have different things that you want to do. I have them for each one.
Yeah. When you have a goal that's just like annual, like if you say, "Oh, I want to do 150,000 this year," and if that's the only way that you go about stating your goal, it's very easy to keep kicking the can down the road, and it isn't until September, October where you're like, shoot, this isn't going to happen. When you have it broken down, like with the 411, you can be real with yourself on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, check in, see what it is that you need to change um, well before September comes.
yeah. I mean, think about it. If eh, you have to break it down. And like we talked about by quarter. So if you have the year goal, you break down by quarter. Then even for Q1, you could break it down into each month.
Yeah. That's a 41111.
Right. It's like the 1355.
Yeah.
Uh, an,
Lot of numbers and acronyms.
an interesting way to look at it, if you haven't read it before, good book called The 12-Week Year. And it basically takes that first quarter and your year and puts it down into a quarter. so that you don't have what Sydney was just talking about at the end of the year. You're having this rush. You have the rush at the end of the quarter, and then that allows you. It just breaks it down even further than what we've just talked about. Is at your what is your quarter one goal? Make that your focus, and instead of leaving everything till the end of the year.
Um, okay. Well, so what you focus on your one Q1 goal for right now, right? And then maybe not even three, but just the daily habits that you're committing to make it happen, right? And then also, what are you getting rid of? I think that that's something to focus on too. What are you getting rid of? What are you saying no to? What are you kind of taking off of your schedule? Ben always talks about how he kind of leaves open spots on his calendar to fill with other things, right? So, what are you removing? What's your one clear goal? What's your daily habits that you're committing to? And I do want to hear what you guys are doing and what you think of and how it goes this week when we're back on next week. Um, we can talk about what the goal is, how you're looking, and what your daily habits were.
To make another comment,
Yeah.
if people find this hard to do, right? It's just can't stick to it, whatever it is. There's just creating these tasks and creating these benchmarks for yourself, and you can't do it. Call a coach, get a coach. It's the best way, the easiest way. Michael Jordan had a coach, right? Everybody has a coach. Call a coach, find that accountability, have someone else help you structure it if you're not able to do it.
100%. Yep. And you're right. I always use the example of Michael Phelps, and then we saw him speak, and it's like,
Not
but
fair.
even Michael Phelps had a coach, right? The guy
Hmm.
who wins a million medals, like you are not too good for a coach. Everybody needs a coach. And um, we have great ones on this call, even.
Pointing to Sydney right now because he's next to me in the
Me, he's right here.
yeah.
Beep.
You guys are like this for me.
Touching it's like the Brady Bunch. Um, Okay, well, that's all I got. So thank you guys for being here. Tim and Sydney, thank you for being on camera. Janice, thank you for showering not on camera and for chiming in. Um, Appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week. Rising Tides.
Good stuff, Lena.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel better,
See you.
Sydney.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.